I'm Pete Kiko, an auctioneer and realtor. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Ben Pigeon. He's a closing coordinator for us here at Kiko and comes with years of experience working for title companies. In this video, we talk about kind of what goes on behind the scenes in the closing process. Take a listen. So now we have the title company has a purchase agreement. They've received this title work. Mm-hmm. What's the following steps?
So next step. So got the search back. The title company has the purchase agreement. From there, the lender gets involved. Okay. So their underwriting process is what it is.
Right.
Every lender's different. The type of loan affects that. And this is the big, when you mentioned that hurry up and wait, this is usually the big hurry up and wait.
You're right.
So it depends on how busy the banks are and appraisers, inspections, all that stuff. I know this past year it just kind of blew all those time frames. You can't finish an underwriting without an appraisal, and no appraisal was able to be done between April and whenever. And
right.
So stuff like that really kind of threw a wrench in the gears of the whole process.
Yeah, of the timeline at least.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And so when you can't get an inspection done, they can't finish their underwriting, and that would be kind of the banker's side.
Yeah.
But the title company just kind of, I wouldn't say they're sitting around waiting, but in this time frame, typically, what I always did is I would start running around trying to get as much information as I could on the seller. Mm-hmm. So obviously the seller is a super important part of the transaction, but that seller has, for instance, maybe owned the property for 30, 40 years.
Right.
They got a loan, they got a mortgage, they may have paid it off, they may have got a line of credit, mm-hmm. They may have a few liens, not whether they know it or not, Yeah. So that's going to be something that's pulled from that search, and from there, we as a closer, we would try and chase those around. So get payoffs for a lien on the property,
right.
to help clear that up. Also ownership. I mentioned earlier Ohio has dower rights. Mm-hmm. So that means if husband, wife, or whoever spouse is legally separated, they're still legally married.
Right.
And
so you need that sign off, or they might be going through a divorce.
Might be going through a divorce,
and it's not finalized. They need that.
There's a lot of instances that come up where those issues need to be cleared out.
Yeah.
Getting payoffs for mortgages. A lot of people they don't realize I got a $3,000 line of credit at Huntington Bank in 1995 to protect me from overdrafts or whatever.
Right.
When they got that was a mortgage on the property that they're selling.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had that account for 20 years. I haven't touched that. We still need to figure out if there's anything owed on it.
Right.
And get it. Obviously you can't keep that for after you sell the property, because you're borrowing against property you don't own.
Right.
So that's what the title company is doing. In most cases, in those, I wouldn't call it downtimes by any means, but they're usually chasing around that. So then the underwriting conditions are met by the lender, mm-hmm. and you get what's called the clear to close.
Right,
okay.
Those are the words everybody's
waiting to hear.
Clear to close.
Yeah.
Right.
So from the clear to close, a lot of stuff changed early. Well, I guess the end of 2008, 9, 10. TRID came about, so we won't even get into that. But with that clear to close, there's certain requirements that have to happen according to those rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. One of the most important ones, if you do have a lender, you have to, as the lender, you have to show or have the buyer see closing disclosure at least 3 days prior to the actual signing of the documents.
Right.
And
hit on that for a minute. Well, I mean, that is just so they can see it's a line item.
So closing disclosure is, there's a bunch of different terms for it. ALTA statement, settlement statement, also referred to as a HUD.
Right.
The HUD is more of cash deals, commercial deals, but the closing disclosure is itemized list of what the buyer's paying for, what the seller's paying for, and where that money's going.
Right. So both parties can see it. It's open book. There's nothing being hidden or not disclosed at this point. It's just open transparency. These are the line items.
Yeah, and this
is yours, and this is yours.
Yeah. So that's another important part of the title company, because the title company is acting as a third party in the transaction.
Right.
So they are collecting the money from the buyer, and they're paying the money once everything is on record to the seller, agents, brokers, inspectors. Obviously, they're keeping a little bit as well for the title insurance, settlement agent fees, and any other fees that they have. They're paying the recorder. They're prorating taxes. They're doing all that stuff, which is a huge part of
exactly right
of the closing.
Yeah, this is where it all comes together. And this is these title company, and again, you guys in our closing department, this is vital information. So when people are reaching out, whether it be the bank or the title company, if they're requesting information, if you want this thing to close sooner, get them that information.
Absolutely. So that is a big help in the closing process, and then a lot of people don't realize maybe a 2 or 3 day delay in that buyer not getting the lender last year's tax returns or something.
Right.
That's going to compound everything into
creates kind of like a log jam.
Yeah.
Right.